Genetic drift. Genetic drift is another mechanism for evolution to occur as a result of a change in frequency of alleles. You would have by now studied natural selection as the means of change in frequency of alleles leading to evolution. Genetic drift is quite different. There aren't any selection pressures here that select for favourable alleles whatsoever. I want to show you two examples of genetic drift, both of which you'll find if you're studying OCR A-level biology on pages 202 to 203 of the recommended OCR A-level textbook. Right, let's just take a population of organisms. This can apply to any population, including these Toshi bots, which my daughters have named for me. I'm showing them different colours to represent the gene pool or the genetic diversity, and I'm suggesting that they've got a large genetic diversity here. And what I mean by that is they've got a lot of different alleles for genes. Now, with any population of organisms, sometimes you may get migration of a small population from the larger population, taking some of those alleles with them. Now, because it's a small population, it's going to be a small representation of the actual gene pool. In other words, they're not going to take many variations of the alleles with them. So off they go.
Bye! See you! I miss you! Bye!
And eventually they may land in a particular area. In this particular case, they've got an island. Now, as a result of landing on this island, they've now geographically isolated themselves from the main population. And as a result of which, this population no longer has the huge gene pool that the main population actually had. And as they reproduce, the offspring are going to just inherit those particular alleles. This is what we call the founder effect. Now, what we've done here is that we have increased the frequency of a particular alleles now away from the main population. This may be a problem in the sense that natural selection is unlikely to occur as much because you haven't got the other alleles to select, or it could be a problem in the sense that some of these alleles may be deleterious in that they may be harmful and cause a genetic disease. So say for example our grey Toshi bots here are carrying a recessive deleterious allele. Now why is that a problem? Well, it might not be a problem if they breed with a homozygous healthy Toshi bot, because that means all offspring are going to be 100% healthy in terms of the phenotype, even though you are going to get some heterozygous Toshi bots. The problem comes is because they're the more likely, due to the reduced gene pool, more likely to breed with another Toshi bot carrying the harmful allele, and that will mean in terms of genetic cross that we're going to get 25% of the Toshi bots with the unhealthy phenotype. So one problem with the founder effect in terms of genetic drift is that we get an increase in seeing mutations in the phenotype. So that can be a huge problem. Examples of a founder effect can be seen throughout human history. So for example, people leaving Europe to sail to America in the 16th, 17th century, and also Norwegians sailing to Iceland and colonising Iceland. If you read lots of textbooks or look on the internet about that, you'll see in particular that the Icelandics carry a high rate of breast cancer as a result of the founder effect. Another example of genetic drift is as a result of a sudden and major catastrophe. Now, this could be some kind of volcanic eruption, it could be an earthquake, it could be a tsunami which devastates a population. In this case, the Toshi bots have just been trodden on, and there was no selection pressure here, it was just random death, and we're left now with a load of squashy bots. So as I said, survival here is completely random, it's not as a result of natural selection, and what we've done now is reduced the gene pool drastically to a few alleles, which may not be favourable. It was just random selection. Now, the population will eventually grow again, hopefully, but this time the gene pool remains small. So once again, just like the founder effect, you may get an increase of harmful phenotypes showing through as a result of recessive harmful alleles being passed on. Now this type of genetic drift isn't called founder effect. What this is when you get a large population that is suddenly reduced and then regrows again, we call this a genetic bottleneck. So the two types of genetic drift are founder effect and genetic bottleneck.